It was the first of what may be many, many battles between Macklin Celebrini versus Connor Bedard. But another Sharks rookie gets in on the party and almost gets a hat trick. We'll break this one down. We'll break out how long it's been since the Sharks won a game at home. And we'll give some love to the foundation right now. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is March 13th, 2025. The San Jose Sharks are victorious tonight by a score of 4-2 over the Chicago Blackhawks. We welcome you to this edition of Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every game, so if you want to be part of the show, here's how you do it. Chat with us and fellow hockey fans all over the world and in Sharks territory, of course, on the YouTube page or the app. And, of course, you can follow us all on the social medias like Blue Sky, Twitter, and Threads. That's where Felix does his magic with the gifts, along with all the other social medias. And you can find everything at tealtownusa.com. And if you want to help us out, you can always hit us up with a super chat donation if you're watching us live, or you can hit us up as well with a Venmo donation at Tealtown USA. And with that, I say good evening to you alongside Felix Chow. What is up, bud?
It's a good night, eh? Like it's a good night in Sharks territory tonight.
Absolutely, it was. I mean, this one, Sharks hadn't won in a while, and at least on the home ice, it's been since January 27th, and Big Bird saying, Felix, sup? But we'll get some of your comments in the chat right now. You know, winning is so much better. Yes,
Indeed it is. So they say.
And Felix, let's be honest here. It's nice to have a little bit of a cushion for the Sharks.
For sure.
Against the Hawks for the best odds for the so
for sure. But also, and obviously we'll get into it. Round one of Celebrini versus Bedard. I think we know who won on both the scoreboard and on the ice.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's get right into it. With the chat, Mark Pearson, nice win. I thought so. Jameson, Graf season, absolutely. I mean, I think Felix is excited to talk about Collin Graf tonight.
Yeah, no, and again, we'll get into the scoring, but man, Collin Graf had himself a game.
Dave B with the I don't want to say hot take because I'm liking it, but Macklin looked like he's going to be a better player overall than Bedard. We'll see how it goes. Maybe a little too early, maybe a sophomore slump for Bedard, but he's had a good one.
We'll get into that later.
But I think you're talking about Smith, Steve Rector. Yeah, he's really taken a big step the second half of the season. Yeah,
and I think he's really looked comfortable. That's the most important part. Like, you can, I feel like for a lot of first year rookies, it's easy. I mean, the A's exist for a reason. Like you're trying to hone in on the fundamentals. You're trying to get your game at NHL level. And most of all, you're trying to be comfortable playing at that level. So I think that's big for Will Smith.
Absolutely. And speaking of Will Smith, great segue, Felix. All right. He started the scoring about 3 minutes into the game. This was a nice play by 4 forwards on the ice. It started with Toffoli, then he fed it over to Eklund, and then Eklund finds Celebrini after he takes a big hit, and Celebrini's like, here, just take it.
Yep.
And he grips and rips it home.
Yep, Smith hammering home the one-timer, and I mentioned on the account, but Aki taking a hit to make a play. Like I was texting Puckguy during the game about this, but I feel like, is it just me or has Eklund had a bit more pep in his step since the Zetterlund trade?
Well, I think the emotions of it at first
Yeah.
really, I think, got to him,
Mhm.
and that can throw your game off big time. And you could probably bet that some of the opponents were chirping a little
Mhm.
bit
Mhm.
uh, because of that
Yeah.
to get into his grill.
Mhm.
Um, but I think he definitely felt the groove tonight. I thought he looked good against Nashville game as well, but I thought, you know, you give him the exception for the day after the trade deadline,
Sure.
and
Mhm.
but yeah, that was a nice setup. He got it going. He got an assist tonight, um, and that made it 1-0. And then later in the period, Collin Graf decided, you know what? I want to make my career proud of picking me up as an undrafted college free agent. So I'm going to start doing things. And I loved this play,
Yeah.
Felix, to make it 2-0
Yep.
between Wenberg and Graf.
Yeah, and when first of all, great heads up play by Wenberg, just sort of like that little look there, and then the pivot, just fantastic. And then the of course the backhand feed to Graf for the goal, but just fantastic all around play.
Yeah, and I highlighted this spot here just because
Yep.
you could see, I wish I could zoom in on Graf here, but
Yeah.
Graf totally sees Wenberg coming down the wing, and
Hmm.
he's got the spot open.
Yeah, and again, like we were talking about earlier tonight, like Graf's hockey IQ to me is growing, and I feel like it's already there. Like, I mean, obviously, he's he it's early. Like, he's still developing his game, but man, his reads have been on point. At least in the offensive zone, it's I've been really impressed.
Yeah, Graf with actually two similar goals in back-to-back games where he finds an opening in the slot to one time at home. Uh, Very nice to make it 2-0 after 20.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought the Sharks really dominated
yeah.
uh,
eh,
early on against Chicago.
for sure. And I think for me, this first period was where you really saw the differences between how Chicago's development is going along versus um, how the Sharks. Now, obviously, you know, a bunch of us have, you know, um, had our gripes against, the coaching, maybe some questionable decisions. Um, but I feel like, at least against Chicago, you really saw, first of all, Macklin Celebrini. I mean, like, there's Macklin's Macklin, right? But I feel like overall, you saw more cohesion with the Sharks in that first period. In Chicago, right? Quite frankly, it looked like they have, at least for most of the year, like just disjointed. They weren't picking up their guys. They weren't sorting out their defensive assignments, and so that score, and not just that score, like you saw. I feel like you saw a bunch of that period where the Sharks just dominated play. They dominated possession in the ozone.
Yeah, especially early on in that first period.
Hmm.
Really, it had that feeling against the Islanders, but the best part is that they had the 2-0 lead as
Yep.
opposed to the Islanders,
Mhm.
about a week ago.
Yeah.
So 2-0 after 20, you're thinking, all right, cool, just keep it going, keep it going. Yeah, not happening. 10 seconds in, Nazar with his sixth from Kaiser to Foligno, that made it 2-1, and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah, it was one of those where you know you you're like bracing, you're holding your breath, because I think from that point too, you could feel Chicago just pushing. Actually, I might as well just throw out something I made note of earlier. Something I think a little later Drew mentioned was, he mentioned something that Warsaw said to the players, and it was, to paraphrase, don't be surprised at the peaks and valleys of a game. And, to me, that's just basically don't let the momentum swing against you dictate your game. And I feel like that's a spot where obviously the Sharks have had trouble with. And so you're like, is Chicago gonna like pushed even closer and closer to another goal? And they had their looks the rest of the game, but fortunately, the Sharks were able to push back. So
Right. And which wasn't really the sense,
yeah,
early on,
for sure.
and not just early on, but
Right,
throughout
right,
the season. Let's be honest, for the
right. Yeah,
but
in the bigger picture, basically, right?
right.
And like again, it's one of those. This team, is still learning. Age is gonna kill us for this, but how to play the right way. But
Cheers! It's the new Desert Dogs, guys.
yeah,
Let's get used to it.
yep, yep. But no, in all seriousness, this team is learning, how to play good foundational hockey, how to really win games, how to close out games, which is most important. Like it's not how you start, it's really how you finish, right? So, this is something that the team really needs to learn. I think this is a step in the right direction. I feel like if they can just be more consistent about it, I think I like where this team's going.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely bits and pieces of this
Mhm.
season, and bits and pieces of this game where they have started to really gel,
Yeah,
into finding ways, and they've gone through that tough time. Now they have to work around it. Now they're succeeding in it. And I think that was what we saw here tonight. Uh, in this middle frame,
yeah.
Hawks would take a couple of penalties drawn by Macklin Celebrini, but this one I think really grinded our gears a little bit too much here
Yeah.
on the
Right.
cross check to the head of Macklin
Yeah.
Celebrini. Um, by Dickinson, and not the good one that plays for the London Knights.
It-
Um, that wasn't a good thing.
I was not. No. And
Uh,
honestly, to me, Dickinson is lucky that was only a two. Like,
because it looks like there's intent there.
yeah,
Um, hopefully he gets some sort of fine. It's not going to be suspendable.
sure.
Celebrini was out there for the power play.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's that's that's not a great look,
No,
unfortunately. So
yeah, I think, and that's continues the pattern of opposing teams players going after the Sharks star, the Sharks future superstars, Macklin Celebrini. So
yeah, and the thing is what you got to do with that though, Felix,
yep,
is you have to make them pay, and
absolutely.
they do here. Will Smith kind of fans on the
Mhm.
shot,
Yep,
and it goes
and
right to
look,
Collin Graf.
exactly, and this is so to me, and I think they mentioned it on the broadcast too. Like Will Smith fans on that shot, he doesn't get all what he wanted on that shot, but luck or not, you know, he Graf gets it right place, right time, making that hockey IQ on full display, and that hand eye, as you also mentioned via text. Yeah, no, just again, great all around play. And yeah, it's yeah, Graf had himself a game tonight.
Yeah, he did his second of the game. Obviously, his first 2-goal game of his career. That made it 3-1, but the message sending wasn't done there. Did like this between Barclay Goodrow and Dickinson. Dickinson's like, I really don't want to go, but you Mo Flicka, you messed with our rookie, so let's go. You
Yeah,
know,
the way they went.
and the way they went to settle the score there. Nice to see. Nice to see that happening, mainly because Felix,
Mhm.
like you mentioned, the kids are going to get beaten up on, and that's the last
Yeah,
thing you need. And that's why you have the likes of Goodrow who can drop the gloves, or you have the big guys like Giles or Giles, which take your pick as to who you want to say.
sure.
Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
and look, I've been very vocal lately of being on the fence about fighting, but I understand this fight. And to me, I feel like it's funny because we pick on Gojo a lot this season, and I feel like Gojo's sort of been the quote unquote designated fighter for the scrapper for the Sharks, since he came. So yeah, it's that it is what it is. It happened.
Yeah. So that unfortunately Chicago would get a goal right back about a few
Yeah.
seconds later to try to shift the momentum. But I think from that fight onward into the third period, the Sharks played pretty well where they stopped them. Yes, they didn't get hemmed in their zone, which is always good, but they definitely didn't, you know, allow them to get crazy chances. Of course, it doesn't help that, Connor Bedard was chirping at the officials.
I want to know what was said. I'm not gonna lie. I want to know what was said. Did he say a few French words that the officials didn't like, or I guess remains to be seen.
Yeah, he's from British Columbia, but I mean, I'm sure they learned from some French there, and it probably wasn't very. Hey, let's have some poutine at Augie's after the game,
Yeah,
of sorts.
yeah,
Let's get to some super chats. We've
yeah.
been having too much fun talking about this game. Jerry
Right.
F.
Thank you, Jerry, as always.
Yes, a $2 super chat celebrating a Sharks win. Thank you, Teal Town USA. Appreciate you, Jerry, as always. Mitya Reznikov, I hope I'm saying that right. 9.99 super chat. Ran
He's,
into Lacey on Tuesday in the tank. It was great seeing you, Kevin. Kevin, if you're watching, he might actually be at his roller hockey game. Not gonna lie, but we'll make sure he gets he gets the message sent there. So, but I mean, to close it out, and I have one word when I'm gonna
yeah.
play this:
Mhm.
sleepover. As Tyler Toffoli gets the empty netter to make it 4-2. I just wonder if there's any other things, but most importantly, they didn't blow a third period lead.
Yep. No, that is important. But all I'm gonna say about the sleepover part is vibes. This team has all the vibes, and I'm here for it.
Right? Right. So Toffoli with his 25th of the season. Congrats to him. Another 25 goal campaign for the 32-year-old. Rob, come on now. Why you gotta be hating on the Pepsi,
Oh my
the
gosh.
official soft drink of Drew Raminda? Rob Ivan, $2 super chat. Bedard said Pepsi near the refs. I think it was a little bit
Yeah,
more than that.
I think it's safe to say there was a bit more than that
Yeah.
too.
So, but that would do it for to the final. Let's talk Alexander Georgiev. 24 saves on 26 shots. I didn't think he had a horrible night, but I thought once that 3-2 goal happened, I'm like holding and gasping for my
Yeah,
breath here.
yeah, no, for sure. And obviously, coming, when he came onto the Sharks, I think we know what we expected of him. But no, credit to Georgiev, he's made some timely saves. Like he's legit bailed, and of course he's had some help, but like from the medals. But like I feel like he's made the timely saves that he's needed to, and
Mhm.
yeah, no, that's the result is what it is.
Absolutely. I mean, he made some nice timely saves. I don't think they were ridiculously
No,
challenging, but even then, you need to make the stop.
exactly.
Now, it did scare me because let's be honest, on Tuesday night, he played the puck and it went horribly wrong.
Yes.
Where I literally said in the stands, if you're a goaltender,
Yes. I was, and so to me, um, that's on both Ferraro. That was on both Ferraro and Georgiev. Like I, I might have also replied this, but communication. Like
yep,
Brett Hedican, who's no longer with these Sharks, has always said communication is free. Like it
yep,
doesn't take much to communicate with each other. Know what your intentions are. Don't just read off each other. Don't just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get the puck," and then the D doesn't realize like just where you're at with that. And so yeah, no, communicating is so important with that. And so yeah, I that's on Georgiev, but also that's on Ferraro for not talking to his goalie.
Yeah.
Well.
But if you're a goaltender,
Yeah.
Felix.
10 the goal.
Thank you. You scared me there for a second.
No, I can't do the dangle screamy yelly thing. So
well, no screamy yelly, but in your soothing voice, you can.
Sure, but yeah, no.
Goal.
Goalie,
Yeah. Appreciate you, bud.
Yeah.
All right. One guy I wanted to also talk about tonight was Shakir Mukhamadullin, who had an assist tonight. He's been starting to slowly put up points, and I think I had it highlighted. Brisbee Life, I think he said it earlier. Mukhamadullin has piled up some points lately.
Yeah, I think, to me, in my very limited perspective, Mook has been impressive. I think he's been impressive in his own end as well, and I think he's especially also been impressive in the ozone and just not just put up points, but also fed the offense. Gotten or helped out on the forecheck, all those kinds of things that a good OFD would do. And so, yeah, no, I've been impressed with him.
Yeah, and he's definitely gotten a lot of more ice time going on. I mean, he's definitely, I think, realistically, he's been averaging well over 20 minutes since the Toronto game. 7 assists in his last 10 games, including tonight. You love to see it.
Mm-hmm. Those are good numbers, and you hope that he continues to develop into someone who can continue to help the Sharks in the long term.
Indeed. I'm chuckling at some of the comments coming out of the dressing room.
Oh gosh.
We'll credit Max Miller on this.
All right.
Sharks Warsofsky on Georgiev going for the empty net. That's why I'm going bald. I was a little nervous there, but he got it out of the zone, so that's good.
Oh gosh.
Oh
man. That's admittedly, I missed that attempt because I had to run to the bathroom in case we were going to go live right away. But that's funny. That's
a pretty good one. From Max, Collin Graf. I must have had a good pregame nap. Whatever you did, remember it. Repeat it Saturday.
In the words of Joe Pavelski, keep doing whatever it is you're doing.
Absolutely. But that was funny. He also asked on Georgiev going for the empty net, and this is his literal quote. I was like, holy shit, if that goes in, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, no. And there have been quite a few goalie goals this year already. So yeah, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, it's been a bit. Even getting credited goal. I remember the most recent one was like, I think
that was
Sorokin against the Islanders and Predators.
Yeah, that was. I saw that and I was like, that actually happened.
Yeah,
like I'd never seen a goalie goal scored like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like how with the comments coming here, I predict Georgiev turns it around and becomes a key. We'll see how it goes. Who knows what the plan is for Georgiev? I mean, again, this guy was an all-star for years and played well, and that just it's almost like he has the yips, to use a Ted Lasso phrase, but not tonight.
Yeah. Dan Moore saying Shakir looked really, really rough for a couple of shifts in the second period today. And he he said he's looked great recently, but seriously don't think this was his best. Yeah, I mean, look, we're not saying this was his best game, but I do think he looked good, and he's gonna have rough moments, right? I mean, like every offensive defenseman is going to have their rough moments. Like that is the role itself. To me, is basically a role where you take risks, and sometimes you get burned on them, sometimes you don't. That's just how I see it.
No, I get it. It's the risk reward of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Erik Karlsson comes into mind for that.
Yep, Erik Karlsson, Brent Burns.
Yep,
we're pretty familiar with those.
Yes. A couple things coming from the Sharks PR. I know you mentioned this to me before we went on the air. The last 7 goals prior to Foley by the Sharks had come from rookies. From most recent to least recent, excuse me, Graf, Smith, Graf, Giles, Smith, Kovalenko. So kids are producing, and you didn't hear Celebrini in that name in there, which is kind of nice to see. And I know we talked about Smith earlier, but he's turned it around quite a bit.
Yeah, no, and I think, look, when you again, Macklin is Macklin. We know what he does already, but to see that sort of, like, I guess, wealth spreading throughout the youth is really nice to see.
Yes, absolutely. Rocks and Jaws. We can hate on Greer for some questionable trades, but he deserves recognition for acquiring Graf.
Yeah, the credit where credit is due. Graf was a really good acquisition. I'm really, really looking forward to see how he, what he brings moving forward into the Sharks, and how he helps out the offense, and of course, gets in that 2-way game a little.
Yeah, I mean, it's been phenomenal, and it's nice to see these kids starting to get some good games out of them.
For sure.
Let's be honest. I mean, the vibes have been rough this season.
Yeah.
You do what you can do, but nice to have them get going.
For sure. And to that point, I do echo Ian's sentiment in that what Greer does moving forward is going to be extremely critical, I think. And we've said this a bunch this offseason. We've said this much in the previous years as well, but like this offseason to me is likely the most critical of the Sharks off seasons. Like, this is, if you want to set your future, this is what happens in this off season is going to decide that, I think.
Absolutely. It's gonna be quite interesting to see what happens next with this team. Right. I think a lot of people were saying Aaron Ekblad. That's probably changed quite a bit over the last week or so.
Yeah.
So we'll see on that, but
I do think, just to chip in my thoughts sort of on like how I see the situation, I feel like obviously you need to surround Celebrini, your youth, but led by Celebrini, with good talent. Like look at Connor McDavid. Like, I mean, obviously he's got Draisaitl, but like he's needed a good supporting cast around him, and they obviously went to a cup final, but they have needed more, and you've seen how teams like Florida are built. And obviously we have to say Vegas as well, but like you need those skilled guys. You need some of that physicality as well, as much as I dislike how overused the concept of grit is in this league, but you do need that every now and then. But yeah, you need a good cast and just depth to move you forward, essentially. Like you can't constantly rely on 18 and 19-year-olds to help propel the team forward. You need more depth and veteran presence. It's why the Sharks went out and got Toffoli. It's why they got Winberg. These types of players. You need sort of that infusion, if you will.
Completely agree, and it's got to be more this off season
for sure. And sorry, one more thing to touch on, and that's the blue line. And I do hope that the blue line is improved in the off season, because as we've seen this season, and especially last season, you need good puck movers to get the breakout going and to help Celebrini out, because he's really, really good, but you can't expect him to do every single freaking thing by himself.
Right.
So
I mean, it's a matter of time where he can be a game changer, but he also needs the support staff I mean, you look at how long it took Connor Bedard to get to the Cup final.
Yeah.
Sid, it took a few years, for it to really gel. So the pieces are there. They're almost there. They're marinating right now. And boy, when we get grilling, it's gonna be a feast on opponents.
By the way, did you say Connor Bedard in a cup final? Because I don't think he's gone there yet.
Did I say Bedard? I meant
Yeah.
McDavid.
Yeah, I think
I
he
meant
made it.
McDavid. Yikes! Yeah, that would be phenomenal
I
for the
was gonna
last
say,
few seasons.
I don't think Chicago's that good yet.
They
So,
may not be ever good.
yeah.
Jeez. Looking at this TLBT saying, are we cool not signing Kovalenko this summer? There'll be a lot of people that we probably don't want to sign. By the way, it's kind of funny that Mook, who stuck from the Timo trade after Zetz played so many more games for the Sharks. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Mook is the one that's left over. Let's also not forget Musty's a part of that too.
Yes, that is true. But honestly, I was on the train that I was not expecting Zetterlund to be traded, but I mean, that's the business. So that is what it is.
Knight saying, I saw AJ appear on the Jumbotron. Uh-oh. My apologies if something happened there. Michael Molasses earlier. If I had a nickel every time I saw Georgiev win a game with less than 4 goals against, I would have 1 nickel. You. I will see you Saturday, my friend. Hope you're ready for that. And I love this. Vincent Alvarado, so close to Georgiev. Yes.
Hey, at least that would have been an evolution to Georgiev.
Yeah. Connor Bedard says he was a little surprised by the misconduct penalty for abusive officials. He didn't think what he said was too crazy, but admits he's not an official. So,
yeah,
and it was held to 0 shots on goal tonight.
Okay, but also, so like on the official thing, I'm sort of two brains about this. Like, first thing I'm thinking is, okay, Connor Bedard must have said something that really pissed off or annoyed the official to where it warranted a 10. But also, the other half is like, well, we've seen how the NHL has treated officiating this season, and we've seen how officials have reacted to getting called out for phantom calls. So clearly, it probably wasn't much, but it had him annoyed for whatever reason. But whatever.
Indeed. Let's see here. Was it the kiss cam? Oh my gosh. Oh geez. TLBT or so junior hockey guy, Musty. Is there a distance chance we see him? Yeah, I would definitely think he's going to be with the Barracuda at first, unless he just has lights out.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to see like where this team, what is like next year and moving forward, because this team, this organization has to take a step forward next season, right? So I feel like there's a lot of potential there. So
yeah, I completely concur on that. I was going to put up the Bedard thing, but he says I'm a little surprised. We'll just leave it at that, and he can have fun with it. So we'll see. Rob, I think if anybody's getting a fine, it might be Dickinson for the cross-check to the head. We'll be on that. So the Sharks win 4-2 over the Chicago Blackhawks. Next up, nobody in particular. It's not like any big name is coming to town. It's Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals. I mean, good news. The Sharks did beat the Capitals, albeit it was out Ovechkin.
And I think I am going to be losing a bet to AJ.
Unless, and I think LA shut out the Capitals.
Yeah, they did 3-0.
So unless Alexander Ovechkin scores 9 goals um, in this game, which I mean, Ovechkin's amazing, but I can't see 9 goals.
Right.
Um, what did you bet, by the way?
Well, I think the base bet was $10, so I guess I would owe him $10.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
I mean, yeah.
$10.
By the way, a quote from Pashalka, quote from Warsofsky on Goodrow, and this is on the fight as he defended Celebrini and dropped the mitts with Dickinson. So he's done it all year. We have some guys that can do it, so I give a lot of credit to Goody. He's been a great veteran for this team. He's a true pro in every sense of the word. He gives you everything he's got every single night. He's going to show up, sticks up for his teammates. I love him. He's a heart and soul guy.
And that's why he's got an A on his sweater.
Yeah, I know he's definitely sounds like a quote unquote locker room guy.
Yes. And I should clarify, as Big Bird says, the grade 8 needs 8. Yes. And Ovechkin will tie the record. 9 goals would break it. And TLBT saying, Ovi has Georgiev circled in the calendar, which is perfect for them to totally put Romanov in. Jeez. All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up, my friend. Did you want to add anything before
I don't have really anything else to add, so go ahead.
Well, fine. Be that way. Okay. In case you missed anything or want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or wherever you get your podcast. The audio version will be coming up shortly. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you very much. Hit that like button, or as we like to call it, the woodish glove. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Let you know when we do go on the air. Of course, we had a great time covering the trades and the trade deadline. Jules did a heck of a job on her own while I was stuck at work. I don't have to report to take like 4 hours off from work to yet. We'll see. But check us out there. And of course, if you are watching us on the replay, leave a comment down below on what you thought of tonight's game and all of that. Success for the Sharks' 18th win of the season. Felix, your final thoughts before we get out of here.
When the Sharks do good, it's good. To borrow from Ian. No, I look, the Sharks gotta win. You know, that's always good. And, you know, again, Graf had himself a hell of a game. Celebrini, and yeah, hopefully they can build on this consistency and go from there.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Felix. He's at Felix Talks Puck on all the social medias that he allows you to see. Let's just put it that way. Along with the music one, right?
Yes, correct. And I am still trying to build out my Patreon, but I am putting stuff together for that so that once I have enough content, y'all please check it out because this is my living now. So.
Yes. Support Felix, please. Please, and thank you. And of course, tonight was the Sharks Foundation 30th anniversary game.
Yeah.
So after you go to Felix's Patreon, we'll encourage you to help donate to the Sharks Foundation. I mean, they hit up a number of things throughout Silicon Valley and the Bay Area. Of course, I did the Sharks for a Day Foundation party. AJ and I, of course, have raved about Sharks and Strikes years ago. They do a lot of work. So if you want to donate there's the QR code for that. And of course, we'll be back with you on Saturday. I'll be live from the tank watching Sharks and Capitals. So me and I believe it's Ian will be talking about the Sharks losing 9-2 with Ovechkin scoring 9 goals. Because that would be so Sharks. That it would be.
Yeah.
So yeah, then that's it for that one. So again, back with you Saturday. That's a 2 p.m. start. If you are didn't catch the time, that's a 2 p.m. start. Weird start time. And
yeah, I was like, did Does SAP Center have anything later? Because that's an interesting start time.
That is a good question. I don't think so.
Or did the Caps just decide, you know what, we're doing this matinee thing?
I mean, there's also South Asian Heritage Day.
Hmm.
So I'm seeing, well, let me look here at sapcenter.com. No, doesn't look like it. In fact,
Oh,
the Sharks,
interesting.
yeah, and the Sharks don't play again after Saturday until the 20th, until next Thursday. So you got one more on Thursday, and then the Sharks get some time off to kind of regroup and get ready.
I might be at the Thursday game, just by the way. I'm going to see if I can get tickets to that. So,
Against Carolina?
or, sorry, the one against
Toronto.
Toronto, correct.
All right.
Yep.
So you can see us there. I definitely will be going to that game. I think Jules is as well. So if you're at the game, say hi. Of course, I'll see you Saturday as well. So don't forget to say hi, and we'll look forward to maybe another victory. So for Felix, I am Puckguy. Thanks for watching. And until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you after the Sharks and Caps. That begins 2 p.m. on Saturday. Good night, everyone.